You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
Welcome back to the Money Hour at 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, July 27th show. I am your host, Tina Mitchell.
And I'm your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
Your local mortgage experts. We bring into studio each week the best of the best and experts in all areas regarding your money. We're here to help you build a strong financial blueprint. And if you're hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but we're here to answer any questions or connect you with the guests that we have on the show. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And in studio right now, we have Leslie McFadden of Real Living Northwest Realtors. And we're going to be talking about strategies and negotiation tips when buying in the current market. Leslie, thank you so much for coming back in studio.
Yes, I love being back. Thank you.
Yes, and a little bit about Leslie. Leslie is an Austin, Texas native where she attended Texas State University and served as a logistics specialist in the U.S. Army. Based at Fort Hood, after her military service, she spent 9 years in corporate interior design and sales, fields where excelling in customer service was an absolute top priority. Leslie became a Realtor in 2005. She has built her success on the principles she learned from her experience, then grew in on the foundation of satisfied clients and referral. Along with her husband, Kevin, she recently managed a real estate team of 5 in Columbus, Ohio, one of the fastest growing real estate markets in the Midwest. In 2016, we were blessed to get Leslie and Kevin here. They made a decision to expand their business by entering the greater Seattle market. By recruiting a partner to handle their Ohio client base, they have been able to capitalize in both geographies. Today, they live in Bothell, truly enjoying the Northshore communities to the fullest. And I will say, definitely, because I see on Facebook post of all the hiking that you and Kevin do, and so I know that you guys just love Seattle. So thanks again, Leslie, for coming back.
You're very welcome.
So I love that you used the word strategy along with negotiation, Leslie. Can you share more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think anything in your life that affects your investments needs a strategic plan. I'm certified in negotiation, and I find that when we educate our buyers on how to strategize alongside us, it really is a recipe for success.
So, Leslie, how do you prep your buyer clients for what is to come?
Okay. Well, our first and foremost priority on our team is to make sure our buyer is confident in their buying ability. You and I talk about that all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do.
This means everything from knowing what their credit score can do for them to what their ceiling would be based on what payment they would like to have. All of our buyers go through an initial buyer counseling session with me at our office before we even ever go look at properties.
Yeah, and you mentioned the payment, which is so critically important because it doesn't matter what you're going to approve for. You're going to have to make that actual mortgage payment. And so the key thing is, what's your target price? What is it going to take you to get into the neighborhood that you want to get into? What is the maximum payment that you're willing to pay? And then what can you approve for? And then you put all those together and figure out where are you willing to adjust in that area. So critically important.
Absolutely. And you also find a lot of people being pre-approved for more than they can actually
so much more
want to afford.
I mean, all day long you can approve at a 49% debt to income ratio based on gross income, not even what you take home. It's a little scary.
What does your buyer counseling sessions look like, Leslie?
Well, this is a 1-hour meeting that's focused solely on getting ready to buy and what to expect. It's my way of working out the kinks on the front end with the buyer and kind of, it's a very stressful process and a lot of people are nervous about it. So sitting down and just having a conversation and getting to know each other kind of breaks that ice. I start with a professional introduction of myself and the team to set the tone, and then I review all of the different costs that are associated with a purchase. We also discuss the pre-approval process, and we want to know exactly where they are in that process. And, with Tina being one of my referral partners,
You're the referral partner, right?
I'm sorry, the referral partner.
Right.
Had to clarify.
I just like to know where they are in that pre-approval process because I meet people in all different situations and scenarios. So you can never tell if they've got that already in their life or if they need help with a referral partner. And then we finish up just talking about what I'm seeing in the current market, because I feel like my advice is relevant because I am in the trenches every single day working in different parts of the city. So I like to let them know kind of what I'm seeing just so that they can get an idea of what to expect. And then we talk about their wants and needs, timeline, and then answer any questions that they may have.
Yeah, so it's really a detailed breakdown of the entire process, what it looks like. So after that time that you've spent with them, they have a clear idea, specific and unique to what they want to do, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Leslie, I mean, depending on what area that you're in, but a lot of the areas that we work in, and I think coming new into the market, buyers may not realize this. There is still a lot of multiple offers going on. We're definitely in a seller's market. We are not in a buyer's market, and we're not in a balanced market yet. Yes, it is much better than what it was,
Right.
a lot, but it's still not balanced. And so are you having that conversation around multiple offers?
I still am, because being certified in relocation, I sell all over the city. So I have kind of a 2-hour radius. So parts of the city are still experiencing that.
Yes.
And there's still different tactics that, you can use in order to be successful and not just have to pay the most money for the house. So I do discuss that in our time. The other thing that comes up is there's a bunch of anxiety built around that, because people think that if they're not doing a conventional loan, if they're doing an FHA or a VA loan, that they're just going to lose.
Yeah.
And we have taken a lot of time to make sure that we have different techniques to present those offers.
Yeah, and out of obviously I work with multiple agents because that's where I get my business from. But out of all of the agents that I work with, Leslie is so specific in strategies and communicating with her clients and exactly what their options are and what they need to do. And I just love that about you, Leslie, because that's really kind of a hard thing for anybody that has to help people make a decision, is you have to clarify all those strategies and what they need to do or what they have to do, but then really be able to put in there the benefits and the disadvantages so that you know what option is going to be the best option for them, but you're letting them know all the information so that they're coming to that conclusion for themselves and they understand why. So I just think that's just really brilliant in how you put that process together.
Well, I think it's also, it helps build the relationship that we are going to need to have.
Of course.
Because a lot of times you can get into some sticky situations, like you and I are in one right now.
We are right now. 60,000 low on a property is yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. But yeah, so because I built that relationship up front,
yes,
my client is definitely leaning on every word I have to say.
Exactly.
Because he trusts me.
Yes,
so,
yeah.
Yeah.
I love how she says the relationship that we need to have, because that's so true. I mean, you're going to get into this, and you're a team. You guys are together, and you're trying to strategize as a group that's going to consult them to make the right decisions.
Absolutely.
And a well put together expert team, and you got to have faith on them, and it's being that established. I know Tina's process because I use the same one, so I know these people are going in confident, and with you as well. That's a huge, important, impactful tool that has to happen. So
thank you for that.
Considering now we've gone through kind of our buyer session and we're all teed up, what happens now? What are the next step after your buyer counseling session?
Well, like I said, depending on where we are in the pre-approval process, we go ahead and firm that up because I think it's very important for them to know what their buying power is. We then meet for a second time to familiarize them with what an offer actually looks like. We have a 5-page boilerplate offer, but then there's all these addendums that you can use as tools to win in multiple offer situations. And so that kind of continues that conversation. And then when we start looking for properties, I don't want it to be the first time that they've seen a contract. I mean, this is a very long, lengthy document that maybe they want to have their attorney look at if they have any questions about it. So I think that that's very important to press the pause button one more time before you look at properties.
Instead of saying you have 2 hours to sign this or you're going to lose out on the home.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then they've never even looked at it.
They've never seen
just,
it.
Trust me, just sign it. No way.
Yes.
That's a really big decision to just, take lightly. So like I said, when we look at properties, you're probably going to find one, right? And you don't want that to be the first time they looked at it.
I don't think we've ever had an agent say that on the show.
No, I haven't.
No.
Yeah.
I love being first.
Yeah.
That's super
And I don't
smart.
think I don't think a lot of agents do that, and it's really just prepared. This is what it's going to look like. This is what you're going to sign. Let's go through this. Ask me any questions so we can have clarification. Then you find your perfect home and you're ready to go. So yeah, definitely our approach is similar, Leslie, and that's why we get along so well.
Yes.
What other things are you going over with your buyers to make sure that they're ready for what's coming up next?
Well, I think it's important to teach a buyer how to view a property. You know, when you first walk in, I mean, when you decide to purchase a property, unless you're an investor that's buying property after property after property, most of the time it's an emotional decision. You walk in and you're like, oh, I like the light. I like the windows. This is so, I love the way I feel.
I love the smell of the cookies
Right.
in here.
But after that, after we decide, you know, what do you like about the property? What do you not like about the property? I don't want a buyer to ever feel rushed through a showing. And so I try to teach them how to view a property. So after that initial showing, we kind of back up and look at it again. You know, then we start looking at the ceiling seams. We start looking at, you know, is the carpet in good condition? You know, are we, because we're doing our second showing now because we might not be able to come back.
Yes.
So let's run the sink. Let's look at the water pressure. Let's, you know, look at the quality of construction, et cetera. So I think that all of my buyers know that that's exactly what I'm going to ask them when we go into a property.
Yeah.
It just shows their attention to detail and ensuring you have the best interest of your buyers. That's fantastic. That's
And having a really dialed in system to make sure that everything is covered and not going to get missed in the process.
yeah, not here it is. You like it? Great. Put an offer in. You know what I mean? Like, is this really in your? But you look at everything.
Well, I want them
There's-
to like me in 5 years.
That's good. It's kind of important. I would agree. I feel the same way. So you mentioned earlier, Leslie, about discussing strategy with your buyer. Can you elaborate on that a little bit about the strategy?
Yes. I believe you have to be very strategic to maximize your buying power. A lot of listing agents out there have a lot of different strategies when they're listing a property. So it really matters what I think the property is worth, not what it's listed for. So I will do an analysis of my own as if I was listing the property. So I will tell my buyer, if I were to list this property, this is how I would list it, and this is what I think it's worth. And that kind of helps them wrap their head around the fact that there is another agent on the other side that had a strategy, and their strategy is to get the most money for their client.
Yeah.
My strategy is to get the best deal for my client.
Yeah.
So bridging that psychology really helps them understand how to really win in a multiple offer situation.
Yes. And with a buyer, Leslie, after a mutual acceptance, what tips do you give them through that process? Here's what's going to happen. As soon as your offer is accepted, we've got a signed contract and we're ready to go. Then what tips do you give them?
Well, I just kind of remind them that they did choose me as their advocate. Right? And so we've gone through an emotional roller coaster at this point. And once we go into mutual acceptance, we have a lot of work to do. And I just, I remind them that listen to what the advice that I give you and the schedule that we have, and make sure that you do everything that you're supposed to do to make it to the closing table.
So, Leslie, as we wrap up things here, I mean, your track record speaks for itself. And, again, that's why I love, working with you, and we work so much together. So let's talk about how you've been able to negotiate terms and seller coverages that have been unheard of in this market.
Well, I will tell you that I do love that you do the 5 columns of the different loan options because it helps me as a realtor know what I'm working with. Because once our clients choose a loan option with you, then I know what I can get covered.
Yes.
And I've mentioned it before, but I just, there's a psychology that goes behind the art of negotiation and being certified in negotiation. I really, most of my CE is done in negotiation because I just really love that part of my job. And the second that you hear a twinge in someone's voice on the other line, and you think you can maybe ask for something, you should ask.
Yes.
Because they want to sell their house.
Yes.
And your buyer wants to buy the house.
Yeah.
So what is the magic combination that we're going to come to?
Yeah. And so the magic is asking, going in with confidence that it's okay to ask.
Correct.
And really strategizing and finding out what's happening in that place. And I love how you'd mentioned, you just kind of listen to how they're communicating on the other side. And if they don't have that confidence level, that means that there's probably some room in there
Correct.
for some negotiation. So, Leslie is definitely amazing what she does. And if you want to connect with her and find out how you can get the best terms as a buyer or get the best terms if you're selling, because she does wear both of those hats, you can call the show at 1-8, not at the same time, separate times. You can call the show at 1-855-400-1150 or go online at themoneyhour.com. Leslie, again, thank you so much for coming back in studio, and thanks for being my friend.
You're welcome. Thank you for the support.
Yeah. And this is your host, Tina Mitchell. We're signing off for the day.
And your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
We'll be here same time, same place next weekend right here at 1150 AM KKNW. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.